Hello and welcome to part 2 of our search engine advertising video, and this is part 2, so I recommend to go back and watch part 1 if you've not already watched it. And if you just love joining in without knowing what's happened before, that's fine, but I would recommend going back watching part 1, which just helped cover some of the basic concepts and understandings behind search engine advertising. And today we're just going to look at a few more terms, and we're going to jump between PowerPoint slides and Google search engine and look at examples of what's happening and how it happens. So just a quick recap. The last day we looked at search terms, keywords or key phrases, which appears up here, and we've seen that paid ads are usually what appear in the top left and along the side sometimes, and these down here are organic placements, websites that appear because they have good search engine optimization, because people click on them, and because they're most relevant to the search word or key phrase that has been typed in up here. Again, we go into this a lot more in the previous video, and we looked at the first 4 of these advertising terms, and we're going to look at the rest of them today. So quickly to go through, we can go through each of these quite quickly. Sorry there. So I think click through, we said, was each time someone clicks on an ad or a link, and then that ad leads us to the website. So that was just a click through, nice and simple. We clicked on the web link and it took us through to the website. So we call that click through. And then click through rate was the total number of clicks on the link divided by the number of times the link had been shown. So in our previous example, we said that people might type in flowers Bahrain 1,000 times every day, and if only 100 people click on our ad or our link, then the click-through rate is 100 divided by 1,000, which is 10%. So we had a 10% click-through rate. Conversion rate, of course, was the number of times that these 100 people had clicked through to our site. Well, how many of them had been converted to customers, had actually bought something? And that's what we call a conversion rate. And in simple terms, it was basically the customer being converted into a customer. So it would have been, if you like, someone that came into our shop or our online shop or our website, and they were converted to a customer because they bought a product. This is usually expressed as a percentage. So if we had 100 people clicked on our site and 20 people bought products, well, it would be 20 over 100, which would be a conversion rate of 20%, and that would be, by and large, is quite a very good percentage conversion rate. The cost per click, we noted, is every time someone clicks on a link, the cost is how much it costs each time someone clicks on the link, and that is usually an agreed among price between the advertiser, which would be the business, us the business, and Google, and we agree that with Google. And how much you're willing to pay will somewhat determine how high you appear on the search page. So that's where we left off the last day. We had a click-through rate, conversion rate, and cost per click, and I go into it in a lot more detail in the previous video in terms of the understanding of search engine pages and things like that. So we look at the other terms now today, and the first term we will look at is cost per action, which is quite similar to cost per click, and again it is a different form of pricing that Google offers to users. So you might decide, and we look at the example, that every time we had flowers in Bahrain was the example the last time, and we can see now we have 3 ads here, and we actually have some Google ads here. These are sponsored, where you actually have the product and you can buy these things as well. And Every time someone clicks on the link, that is the cost per click. And if it's a cost per action, it is every time someone clicks on an action. So they might click in the link and that costs them something, and then they might decide to buy. So they click on this week's bestsellers, which we know is Batil or Wishing for You, and if they click on that, it is an action and that costs as well. So every time you carry out an action, Google will charge you money, and how much they charge is agreed when you're setting up the account, or the campaign as they're called. So the cost per action is when a certain action is performed and how much that action costs. So as I say, rather than just clicking on the link and being charged, you might be charged for every time they book a flight or hire a car. And when you're setting up your account or your campaign, you have to decide which is the best for your campaign, cost per click or cost per action. I've only really ever used cost per click, but I think each one is based on the needs and objectives of each campaign, and there are plenty of sites where you can compare which is the best for you, cost per click versus cost per action. The impressions is a nice simple term, really, the number of times an ad is actually shown. So if we come back out here and we click on this here and we go back to our search. Oh, what did I do there? Sorry about that, got excited. Press the buttons. So just that ad appearing as an impression. Every time someone in Bahrain today, or maybe someone outside Bahrain that's looking to deliver flowers to their mum or whoever, types in flowers Bahrain, every time that appears, that is an impression. So we have now seen 2 impressions where that ad has appeared. And that is all an impression is. Key phrases, again, 2 or more words used to form a search query. And in this example, the key phrase here is flowers Bahrain, but maybe I want to go cheap flowers Bahrain. Will the same ads appear? Bahrain greetings, and you can see they've actually changed their wording a little bit. Talabat, and again you have these, but that is still a key phrase there, and I might decide to change that flowers in Bahrain, and I might go for SAR, the area SAR, and again we have this ad coming up, but it's a key phrase, and even though it's more than 1 word, it's a key phrase. So flowers Bahrain, nice and simple. And then the organic results, which is the next one, which we already said is in our previous video, the organic results are natural search engine results. The website does not charge for organic search engine results. And what we mean by that is, if I click on this link right now, this is going to cost BahrainGreetings.com a certain amount of money, something usually around 50 cents to €2 to $2, depending on where you are and depending on how high up the ranking you might want to be. Bahrain Greetings may well be charged, have agreed with Google that they will pay a little bit extra so they appear higher up than Flower Link. But every time I click on that, it is going to cost money. And whereas if we go down here, same website, same company, and I click on that, it doesn't cost them money. That is an organic listing. And Bahrain Greetings may well come first here because they also take out ads, and after an eventual period of time, because people are so used to clicking on BahrainGreetings.com because they come up first, that actually improves their organic placement as well. And we sort of used the example the last day, well, why would I advertise up here if I'm coming up here as well? Well, why does Coca-Cola still spend billions on advertising every day to maintain their position as an industry leader. And you could say that BarryandGreetings.com is maintaining their position as an industry leader by taking out these ads. Even though here it's organic, it has appeared naturally. And Aliyah Flowers is another example. That doesn't cost Aliyah Flowers anything when I click on their website. A little bit of a slow loading website, but quite nice. So that's organic, and that's not organic because it is paid. It is manufactured to appear here. And these are also the same. And these are quite, we'll do a different video on these some days, that while they are sponsored, and we can see they're sponsored, a little bit different to ads. These are usually, you set them up with Google when you're setting up your e-commerce shop, and there's plenty of videos on how to do that as well online. So that is just 4 terms that we wanted to cover today. And we'll move on to the next terms. So quality score is an interesting one. Quality score is the measure used by Google to indicate how relevant a keyword is to ad text or to a user's search query. And what we sort of mean by that is, well, why do BarryandGreetings.com finish higher than flowerlink.net? Well, they would have generally a better quality score than flowerlink.net. And how you, well, the quality score is calculated by Google, and it takes all the different information that each advertising company has. So how relevant is this website to this? And for example, we've seen earlier, I think, and we can try again, maybe it might appear, Flowers by Rain, Talabat appeared, and they're appearing again. And Talabat, which mainly focus on food orders online, are still appearing even though we're looking for flowers. So, but Google recognizes that the quality score of Barry and Greetings, as in Barry, is more relevant to flowers and flower delivery than it, say, perhaps Talabat, which is more food related. But also Google uses other aspects as well, like load speeds and how many people click on the link, and different things like that there to calculate its quality score. But its quality score would be a factor in if myself and another competitor were paying the same amount of money for our ads to appear. Then how does it determine I will place my company ahead of his company? Well, it uses a quality score, which will an algorithm which might include things like, does company A have Google Maps set up? Do they have Google reviews? How quick does their page load? So it calculates a score that gives each company what they say a quality score. Return on investment is, and we talked about it very briefly in the last class, and of course this is a marketing term that we've used before. Return on investment is the ratio of profit versus the amount of money spent on advertising, and an example of that would be if, for example, BarryandGreetings.com have decided that they are going to agree a fee with Google on €1 every time someone clicks on this link. So it costs BarryandGreetings.com €1 every time someone clicks on this link. Now, if 20 people click on this link, and I have just clicked on it, so it's probably cost them another €1. But if I click on that and I decide to buy white and pink stargazer lily arrangement for 28 BD, which is equivalent of probably roughly 60, 70 euros or dollars. Well, that's 70 euros profit that this company has made just from one click. However, if 20 people click on the site on the previous link, so if 20 people click on this link, well, that's going to cost them €20 every day. Is it worth this company getting €70 worth of sales for €20 of cost? And of course, the return of investment there is €50. So the company has to decide, well, actually it is worth €50 extra per day, because if we didn't spend the €20, we wouldn't get the sales of €70. So return of investment is how much you invest into your campaign, and then the return is how much money do you make. And of course, as we said, the principles of marketing, or one of the basic principles of marketing, is to get new customers and keep existing customers while making a profit. Well, we wouldn't get new customers if our website appears on page 3 of Google, because people tend not to go to page 3 of Google. So when we're starting out, or we're a new company, because it takes a while to move up through the rankings on Google, well, we decide, let's manufacture a ranking by paying for ads. And that means that, okay, well, we're paying €20, but we're getting €100 profit back every day. Well, then it is worth it. The return of investment is likely worth it. So whereas you would not make those €100 sales if you did not spend the €20 advertising. So we call that return on investment. Investment being how much you pay into advertising, and the return, of course, is the amount of money that you get back. And then the profit is the return on investment. Search engine result page, that is very simple. I don't need to. Google is a search engine result page, and the actual search results which the user gets based on their query. So again, search engine result page, and we go back. This is the search engine results page. We can see all the results of the search engine, and it's all ads. We can see here it's all ads, 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 ads. And if we go down, we can see more organic, because they have set up Google Maps and Google Businesses, etc. And then we can see organic. But how likely are people to, we have some more ads down the bottom. But how likely are people to go to page 2? Let's have a look. And we have some ads on page 2 as well. Page 3. Some ads. There's a surprise. So wine flowers down here might decide to take ads out to get themselves up onto page 1. I don't think too many people go to page 3, but flowers Barry. Let's click. Okay. And sponsored results, as we said, are the results paid for by the advertiser. We see some sponsored results here. And of course, you come across that now in Facebook and Instagram as well, and quite a similar business model, where every time someone clicks on these ads, Facebook or Instagram will charge the company €1 or whatever it might be. Actually, it's quite slightly different, and we'll do that in another class on another day. Okay, so I think we're okay with that. It's all fairly straightforward. And our next page, we're going to come back to this, the pay-per-click process, but quick analysis. We do our keyword research to find out what we think are the most relevant keywords. We create our ads, we create landing pages. Let's go through it actually in detail. Yeah, so I mean, keyword research, really, as a flower shop, I have to ask the question, what are the likely keywords or key phrases that my customer is going to type in? And that's what we do as marketing. We research to find out the information that is going to be most likely to help us. And if I was a flower shop in Bahrain, or a new restaurant, or whatever my business might be, well, I have to figure out what are the most likely keywords, key phrases, or search terms that my customers are going to type into Google, because that is the words that I will then pay for when I am setting up my account. 2, we create our ad, and in our next section, so in part 3 of this search, advertising, video sections, we will look at ad creation. Landing page development is important, so you would ensure that your website is set up appropriately so that when people do land, that it is attractive and that it entices them to buy, to become converted. As we say, the conversion rate. If the page is not attractive, if there's spelling mistakes and different problems and it's not well organized, user experience, then customers are likely to just get out of the website, and you would find your conversion rate is poor. Account setup is setting up your Google AdWords account. Tracking and installation and testing, that's ongoing monitoring using Google AdWords and indeed Google Analytics. You launch your campaign, you monitor, assess at the end, feedback. That's all pretty straightforward. Okay, so just individual elements of a and that's crazy stuff, crazy sorts of animation going on there. So the elements of a search ad, we can see what are they. Well, you've your heading, gifts for your boss, and we look at these. One line of ad copy, sometimes shown on one line, sometimes two. Your URL, and then ad extensions. So we're going to look at it again at a live version of this, but key things to consider: keyword optimized ad texts, and that is again that your ad text is keyword optimized. So for example, if someone is searching for flowers in Bahrain, you want the words flowers in Bahrain to appear somewhere in your ad text. The link to your owned property, so just the URL link, and we look at vanity URLs as well, and then what ad extensions you might have, different things that you want to include in your ad, like phone, if you're an online order, or the delivery, that you can take phone orders or text messages, but we look at ad extensions later on. And if we look at a live example of this, so we can see flower heading. Well, you have flowers delivery in Bahrain, so you can see the keyword is appearing in the heading, and that's important. And maybe that's common sense as well, but you'd be surprised. So flower delivery in Bahrain, fastest delivery guaranteed, so they've kept that heading nice and simple. Send flowers, chocolates, teddy bears, cakes, all from a local gift cards from a local florist. So they've got in there, they've got their ad text. This is their URL, and we can change that URL if we want. They have decided to include their address and their phone number, and these are extensions. They also have some other link extensions here, so well, if we're getting flowers, we may as well get balloons for the party and chocolates and different things like that there. So that's a good example of what an ad should look like, and for our an assessment that we're doing in our course in Bahrain Polytechnic, students have to design one of these. And if you are doing that, let's look, we have a couple of links on Moodle here, and I'm going to give you a good website here that looks at yes, this one by WordStream, which is quite good, which actually looks at different ads that have been done by people and maybe tells you what they like. So this is chandeliers. Google search for chandeliers turned up these 3 ads, and it gives you different things that are good, seller ratings. It mentions lots of benefits, so they like that. What they change, punctuation. Okay, so of course that's important to have good grammar, because if things are written badly and there's bad punctuation, well, people may be untrusting of things like that. And no call to action. There's no explicit call to action, so you should possibly have a call to action in there. And I recommend you go to this website and go through them all again. What we like: site links, verbs, social extensions. What I changed, the headline. They don't like the headline up here, so the USA. But have a look at that website for some do's and don'ts about creating ads themselves. Okay, so some amazing. So that's just the elements of a ad. And oh, here we go again. Search elements of a search ad. So again, you just have your headline. Today's design, they tend to have actually what they call a pipe now, which is just a line coming down here. So this screen grab is probably a year old, and maybe by the time that you are looking at this, some of this will be dated as well. So always good to just check, and I'll show you where I check soon. So 2 URL, 3 description, and 4 network features. And what we'll do is we'll actually just, Google have some guidelines that they offer for ads. So in your headline, people are most likely to notice your headline text, so consider including words that people may have entered in their Google search. And that's what we said earlier. If you're searching for flowers Bahrain, have flower, if you're doing an ad for flowers Bahrain, have the word flower and Bahrain in your headline if possible. Your text ad consists of 3 headlines. So the last one we seen was 2 headlines, but sometimes they allow you 3, but more often than not they allow you 3 headlines, and maybe sometimes people just use 2. And the headlines are separated by a vertical pipe, which I just mentioned. And that might, so you sort of have 3 different headlines in the one headline. So the display URL, which is the address that you're shown, usually in green, and it wasn't green previously, the website address. This displays URL is made up of the domain from your final URL. These fields are designed to help people who see your ads get a better sense of where they'll be taken to when they click on it. Your path text doesn't have to match exact language of your display URL, and that is important to note that when you are creating an ad, and I'll be putting up a video soon of actually doing ads, but you can actually change the text on your URL from your actual website link. And what that means is if my website was Flowers Bahrain, well, I might actually change the name of the URL on the ad to cheapest flowers in Bahrain, and it will still link to flowersbahrain.com. And then some other guidelines for the description. Use the description field to highlight details about your product or service. Common sense. It is a good idea to include call to actions, and we've seen that already in the do's and don'ts website that I give. And if you offer a service, you might want to add something like get an instant quote online. Again, for me, the description, is often where you're really highlighting your customer value proposition. What are you proposing? What value are you proposing to the customer? And again, this is time dependent, but at the moment, these are the length of characters that you can use in creating each ad. So the headline 1 can only be 30 characters, headline 2 30 characters, description 90 characters, and again examples of that would be here. So you can see that's headline 1, and there's no more than 30 characters there. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Anyway, you can all count, and the same there. And they have in their heading, they have do they have call to actions in here? Send flowers, chocolates. No, they don't have a call to action, but they do have. And their URL is flowerlink.net, but they really could change this to www.cheapflowers.net if that URL is not taken, and you can click on that and it still takes you to flowerlink.net, and I'm going there right now, and I think that website is not very good, but anyways, that's just my opinion. Okay, so we are going to leave it there today. As I said, that's part 2 of our video on search advertising. I am going to do a third video which will cover, see here, tips on writing and long tail dynamic keywords, and we're going to look at Google ad extensions, and then at the end and landing pages, and at the end I will make a recommendation for some videos that you can watch as well that are help you set up accounts. Okay, I hope you enjoyed today's videos, and as I say, that part 1 has been done before. This is part 2, and the next one will be part 3. Thank you and have a good day.